Alright, this week I'm going to go over what I've been doing so far. I got my barge cement in the mail. This roughly goes about 40 bucks. I got it off eBay with the best deal. And luckily for me, it came with a brush and cap. So I didn't really need to get the bottle, but I got it anyways because they do wear out over time. So that will come in handy eventually. Alright, so that's barge. Now, I gotta emphasize this. Get yourself a lot of construction paper, because when you go wrong and you're dealing with like big pieces, like, I got, some of the leg panels and stuff, I got the, dimensions wrong and had to redo a whole new pattern set, because I'm basically building it out of this stuff and then tearing it down and then using it as my templates. So invest in a lot of this. Best deal, dollar store, 2 for $1. So, at originally like a Walmart and stuff, it's like a dollar. So get yourself a whole bunch of that. Okay, so I want to go over this. Get yourself a little notebook. Draw out your designs. This is going to be extremely helpful. This is what I've got on my stuff so far. I don't know if you can see it too well, but use the graph paper. The graph paper, helps you with getting down the scale and getting out your dimensions. Then from the graph paper, I cut out templates and transferred it over to cardboard, and then came up with this stuff. So then I cut it into the foam. And this is a template for the toe piece. Now I put these two sections together with barge. It's contact cement, so it's got to go on both sides. One side on the other two sides. And then wait 5 minutes. I did 2 coats. So I put the first coat on, waited 3 minutes, put on the second coat, waited 5, and stuck it together, and it's, look at that. I did that about 30 minutes ago. It ain't coming apart. Alright. So another technique that I was using is called undercutting. Now I used a hot knife, but I changed out the head. These wood burning tools come with different heads. This particular head looks like a trowel for like whenever you're doing cement. So it's like a teardrop shape, and it's perfect because it's pointed at the end, shaped like this, and it's slow going. But what you want to do is you want to just score your line. Now, also I want to emphasize this: you're doing this on the other side of your phone, a side that's never going to be seen. Don't put your lines like I did on this one and then get confused, and then you're ruining the entire template. But this is where the line is going to be, where it's going to be folded down. You're basically putting in a nice dent. You're not going all the way through. And then what it's going to help you do is fold this over like so, and you're going to have a nice soft rounded edge. Now this thing is hot. Be super careful. I was going to use the hot blade for cutting, but I decided not to go with that, because whenever you go at any angle, or you go in deep enough, you don't see the blade anymore. You don't even know what's doing underneath there. So I decided to just go with just getting a nice bunch of blades for cutting. First I got these dollar store finds, mechanical cutters, and I ran into the problem where when I have the blade out long enough, it flexes too much. Too flexy. So I wasn't getting a very straight cut. and I had seen some other people on YouTube utilizing these right here. They have a wider blade. This one's by DeWalt. Solid metal construction, very firm blade. And what I found in the backpacking area was this little portable knife sharpener, and it's got a fine ceramic edge to it. And every time I go to sit there and cut, or I just got done cutting, I just run my blade along this about 10 or 12 times, and that thing sharpens it up like it was brand new. You know, you don't have to go and start breaking off the bits or buy extra blades. You just invest in one of these little handheld sharpeners where it's already, you know, at the 45-degree angles on both sides, and then, you know, just run it straight down the middle, and it keeps this blade super sharp. Now, I still keep the mechanical ones, the cheap ones. This one, I keep this for just cutting construction paper. That's what it's good for, and I sharpen it up in this as well. Now, all my EVA foam pieces, they all came in black. Now, I'm always seeing gray on it, and I can't find no gray. So, everyone's using black markers. I can't use black markers. If you're running into this problem, invest in one of these marker pens. Now, this is a Gundam pen, and it's got comes to a fine point, and it puts out a very nice white mark. And then emphasize, like if this, for instance, is your white mark, you want to cut to the inside of that mark. And also, when you're cutting, any edges that are not rounded, if you're doing straight lines, utilize a metal ruler to do it. If you're going to sit there and use these plastic ones, you're going to find where the blade actually digs into the plastic, shifts you off, and messes up your cut. Also, you're going to run through these things. So don't get little plastic. No. Use this for like drawing and cutting out little things on construction paper. But when it comes to the foam, you want something secure. Get yourself a metal ruler. I got a 36-inch, and I got this angle as well. This is great for getting, dimensions, widths, and heights. I want to emphasize having the best materials to do this with to minimize any, damage. Also, I use the heat gun. Now, when I sit there and I did the undercut for this, and there's videos for all this stuff on there. I'm just going over what I've been through here lately, and keeping you up to date on what I've gotten so far, and little tips and tricks that I've learned in my experience. I'm not going to show you every single detail. There's plenty of videos out there that's going to do that for you. But now I used bars and I used the glue gun for securing the undercuts together, and they did exactly the same. So not a big deal there. If you want to not use so much bars and go with the cheaper stuff with the heat gun, do that. Now, I got this really nice heat gun from Walmart. It was only like $7.99. I really like it because it's got this rubber tip to it where the glue doesn't stick to it, so it all comes off. I've seen too many people glue this all over their device and stuff, and that's really not necessary with this model. So invest in it. Now, this is a multi-tint model, and you can do the low and also do the high temp glues. I'm having trouble finding the high temp glue for this thing, so I'm stuck with a multi-temp. But in the cases where I've needed it, it really doesn't matter if the seams come apart. It's being held mostly, it's just a temporary thing, because when I set the bars down like this, it's holding this in place. All right. So when you're using like a marker pen, like I was showing you here, it's a shake-up version. You can also, I think Testers puts out stuff like this as well, so you get a cheaper one. You don't have to necessarily get the Gundam ones, they are expensive. I just happen to have this one after trying to find chalk pins and all this other stuff, and it's really not working out for me. But you want to sit there and you want to test the making lines and stuff, and also you're going to have to shake it up once in a while and kind of dab it to get that point moist again with paint. So just have a little rubber piece around, foam piece around, so you can sit there and do that. Also, I was testing cuts, for various knives and everything, just to sit there and make sure that, everything's working the way it should before I start, digging into, some plates. Also, I emphasize getting a bunch of tape, putting all your construction pieces together. Having a nice, sharp knife for cutting around edges, pencils. All right, so let me show you what I've got so far, and this is the foot, almost done. Now, as you can see, this is open here. I'm going to have this recessed in here, so I'm just going to be making a piece based on how this ended up. I didn't want to sit there and make a piece so, and then not fit. Now that I know what the dimension is going to be, I can make one in and then put it on the inside, push it towards the front, and secure it with hot glue in the back, and then any seams are really going to be pushed up along the sides. You're really going to not notice it much. But there you go. That's just the foot. As you can see, I put everything was secured to the wood with barge, and you can almost, you can see this seam here, but when it's sanded down and used some of the sealing techniques that you can find here on YouTube, hope that's going to be minimized. Now there's also going to be a brace that sits there and goes between this section here. I'm waiting on that just to see how the leg piece fits over this. So it may be necessary, it may not. So we will check that out. Now, to get that bend like that, I used my heat gun. You want to bend your pieces before you form them, because they're going to try to pull away from the barge. So if you're trying to sit there and adhere this with the barge and you haven't formed it, it's going to want to flip back out, and you're not going to get very good adhesion, and you're going to get places with gaps. So the best thing to do is form it with a heat gun. Now I heated it from the outside, well actually the inside, and not the outside. I've seen videos where this foam starts to get a glossy glaze. It's called sealing the foam and everything. And then I didn't want that to happen yet. So I heated it from the back side here and just simply placed it over my knee and formed it the way I wanted it, like so. Then heated it up some more from the inside and then got it nice and flat, so then it ends up exactly the shape I wanted. Now you're not going to get it exact. Close enough is best, because you just don't want it to sit there and force itself apart. So that's where I'm at right now. I do have some news. I'm not going to make it to the parade. I didn't know DRAGONCON had a sign up list for the parade, but try to get on their waiting list. They said there is no such thing, so I am going to be at the contest on Friday. They wanted me to send some pictures of my suit and everything pre-registration. I'm like, I'm not even done yet. So stay tuned for more bits and pieces as I go along, and tips and tricks. Have a good one.